couple of you have asked me to help you with setting up or understanding better in setting up Drupal modules, and can't quite transition from the creation of blocks, into actual web forms or web applications. So what I'm going to do is create a series of videos, probably, hopefully only 3, potentially 4. The one we're going to do right now is just a real quick and simple web form that you can use in a module. We're going to create then another web application. It's a little bit more complex, and then a third one with database interaction, so that you can see how the entire process would work. So what I'm going to do, so I can start all over from the beginning, I am going to clear out a database and domain that I'd already set up as I was kind of testing things out. So let me go in and do this and drop these tables so that I will start everything from scratch, and you can kind of see how the entire process works. So let's do this, and I'm going to literally start from the beginning. So let's get rid of that. Keep forgetting to change the permissions on this file. Give me 1 second to get this fixed. There's a permission set on this settings file to help prevent it from being accidentally deleted, but I want to intentionally delete it. So we are going to go in and change the permissions so that I can actually remove the file with no problem. So it's alt, and we're good. Now let's try removing it. Great. And all right, so that directory has been completely removed. The database table has been completely removed, so we're starting completely from scratch. So let's make a new directory. Oops, I didn't want to make that directory. Here, let's do this. Simple, easy. This. That'll take care of that. Okay, now let's try that again. Once more with gusto. Learn DMD. Alright, so now let's go into this directory and now download all of our Drupal files and get them installed. What I will do here is just use one of my configuration or site configuration settings that I've set up, a make file, to accomplish this. Look. And nope. Get that set. I want to run it from there, and yes. I think most of you kind of have this process down. For those of you who are not familiar with it, I simply have what they Drupal refers to as a make file that just has, the core files from Drupal and the modules, that I typically use when I am setting up a site for myself. So it's going in and downloading all of those files for me, all in one nice simple step. And what I have over here on my little cheat sheet is just this long site install excuse me, site install line that will go in and now take all of those downloaded files, install them, set up the Drupal account username and password, get everything set up as it relates to the database, and after that we should have a functioning Drupal site. And if you will notice, just kind of watch the time frame. It's just taken a couple of minutes, and unfortunately because I was talking, that's why it took even longer. Just a couple of minutes to get from having absolutely nothing as far as a Drupal site to having a complete install. Now what I'm going to do here, and again just kind of using my cheat sheet, I'm just running this little script to go on and enable those various modules that I had downloaded and installed a second ago. It'll enable them all for me. I think I've got, get this in here, and then there's just a couple that I want to turn off. So now we should have just a nice, fresh, clean Drupal installation. Let's go and take a look. What do we call it? Learn. That's still here. Good. Learn. Ooh, that's not good. I think I did the same typo. Here we go. That's better. I know saying that it's better when you see an error, but this particular error, it is better when I see that one. All right, let's log in, see if our username and password was set up correctly from our script. That. And it looks good. Okay. Now, a couple of things. I'm going to go in and I want to turn on a couple of modules. See, we have a few things that are out of date. I think my core Drupal file is out of date. To make this just quick and easy for right now, I'm just going to update everything. So this Drush Up will go in, update the core Drupal installation for me, and then catch any module updates that may be required. I'm not going to, since we're just working from a clean site and it's a demo site, I'm not going to double check, for any conflicts that this update might have on some modules that I have installed. Okay, that looks good. We've got that update going, and sorry for moving screen around so much. Let me do, clear, run this cron. There are a couple of things that you're going to do. You're continuously is run your cron job and also clear out your cache. Show you those. Let me get Devel going, and I'll show you. Need to refresh this also again. Probably need to run cron again. What Devel will do for us will give us a method and means of debugging our applications, so you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on behind the scenes. You're not working blind, basically. It's a massive help. And I don't use all of the links that the PHP and development blocks provide, but they do come in handy every now and again. So I like to move them while I'm in the process of development. I like to just go on and move those into my secondary nav bar, just so they're handy, and so you'll know what I am referring to, these two guys. And as I was running through and running my cron job, and I'll be clearing my cache, well, these links are right here, which will do the same thing. They're a little slower, in some cases, but they're again still very handy if I need to see certain things with PHP information. If I just need to see how my settings are for my server, that is just right there at a link, and it's handy to have them. And then also this little block, if you're ever running a function, test. If you're ever running a function, let's do this. Spell my name correctly. And you just want to see, why is that function not working? Is it conflicting with the code in Drupal? Or do I just have the function itself completely wrong? You can just run the script here right quick just to, get you an idea of what some of the issues may be, and the response to that will pop up inside of the screen, or an error message, if something was wrong with it. So we've got those two going. Let's go back to our modules and let's start developing. All right, so here we are. Let's get started. What we're going to do, I'm going straight into my IDE. I'm using PHP Newsphere. It is completely up to you. For an application this small, actually, I would probably be using, Notepad or Sublime Text or Notepad++, TextPad. Any editor is fine. But I had Newsphere open, so I will continue using it. Let me clear out this old version that I had. Make sure everything is set and ready to go. Site's all modules. Here we go. Refresh that. Okay, so we are clear and now ready to go. So, first thing we need to do, or should do, is create a custom folder. You can do a lot of reading to determine where you want to place your custom folder. There's several places, 4 or 5 places, that Drupal recommends that they be placed inside the contrib folder, up here at the top level. I just personally prefer to have a custom folder in here, and then I put all of my custom code inside of that particular folder. So I am going to follow my usual process and do exactly that. So my custom folder is set up. we are about to create a module which will be contained inside of its own folder. So again, what I want to do is create a demo app. So we are going to be creating a demo app module and setting that up so that will be contained inside of the demo app folder. So inside of this folder, we need to create a couple of files. I know you all are kind of familiar with this portion of it. Demo app, follow the same naming convention, but you know the info file and the module file are required at a minimum. So let's get those two in. Demo app.module. Okay, those two files are in. Let's open up our demo app file. And you know, this file is simply, you know, alerting Drupal that there is a module out there that it should pay attention to, you know, once it's enabled. So let's go. Sorry about that. Description and core. I am just going to add the required info right now. And let's see our first demo application module. And give it a name. Demo app. Save this. And if we go here and refresh, we should now see our new brand spanking module. Voila. Now, what I'm going to do from the UI here is just go on and enable the module. This will cause you no end of grief because you will have banged your head to figure out why your application is not working. And it will all be because you haven't enabled the module. And let's see, oh, I think I know what this is. 1 second. There is a, yeah, it's this guy. Gotta write a script to set this for me. Oops, actually I want to come here, then I want to come here. There's a conflict between the admin view and certain versions of jQuery, so typically go in and set the admin pages back a couple of versions, and that seems to make it very happy. Good job. And let's just run cron right quick. Alright, so we are ready to jump in. Let's go. So let's go back to our Explorer window, and this time we're going to grab our demo app module. And we are simply creating a very small application. Here, let's close this guy out. I think what I'll do is just create something just with a handful of fields in it so you can get, or just the basic idea of how you would go about setting up, you know, a very small module inside of Drupal. So let's get going. So what we're going to do is we want to start by setting up a menu item so that in the process of everything, we need to know how to get, or the end user needs to know how to get to whatever the module is we're creating. So we're going to create a link for them to access. Let's set this up. So we're going to add our comments. Actually, let me add my opening tag so I don't forget that. Add my comments. Actually, this is going to be let's hook menu, and what we're wanting to use this for is when we're creating our menu item, it will hook into the core menu functions that Drupal already has so that we can use a good bit of that functionality. So let's get started. Our application is demo app, so our function we're going to create is demo app menu. Just follow that same naming convention as you're creating your menus and your pages as well. So I'm going to set up an array here. Okay, we get that. And now I'm going to assign a few items to this array. And what we want to start with is the URL. And I know that sounds odd, but this is the process for creating the URL in Drupal. So let's do, let's keep it simple. We will do demo slash app. Okay. Follow the same rules. So this will be my URL here. It's going to go into demo/demo app. And you'll see this once we run the page, okay? So now let's add a few more array items to this. Get here. And let's go in and do title. And what I want you to just notice, even though there's a syntactical change, I'm just setting up, I really am just setting up a URL. And I'm setting up all the different properties for that URL. So first, how about demo app? This title here is the name of the link. You'll see that. Demo app. And now a couple of things. I know a few of you mentioned this and you were familiar with it, but the page, but you just couldn't quite understand what it was referencing. And literally, think about this. This is just a function. It's telling this URL, this link, what, and actually here's the URL for this link. Everything else are the instructions for this link. So when I click on this link, I want it to do all the other stuff that's going to appear down here. So for this page callback, I'm just saying, what do I want you to do when you click? Well, I want you to call a particular page. In this case, we're going to use a Drupal function called Drupal get form, and it's going to, we're going to pass it the form / the function that we want it to get, and it will then go to that page / form / function. Let's come here, and I'm going to pass that information to it by passing page arguments. Let's do this, and that page argument is going to be, let's see, let's call it demo app. Yeah, let's call it demo app page, because this is what we are going to be going to, okay? So we're going to pass it this argument. It's going to go to this page and look for this function, because that's what we're creating right here, is a function. Let's come here, demo app page, and I'm going to set up a couple of access parameters here. Argument, let's do that. And that array. The way I'm going to set this up is just that anybody who has access to the site will be able to see the link. You can set it up to restrict the access to this link, to this URL, by changing the access permissions. But right now, anyone that can access content will be able to access this site. And catch this. There we go. Pull it down. And now this is a particularly unnecessary step for this site, but I've really gotten into the habit of doing this. It does make life a lot easier. I am going to my code that I will be creating, the function that I will be creating right here. I'm going to place that inside another file just to keep my code compartmentalized and clean. Like I said, for this small application, this may be a little bit of overkill, but when you're getting larger applications, you've got more, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, URLs that you're creating, links that you're creating, and then you're creating their corresponding pages / functions. It can get a little unwieldy, so it's better, in my opinion, to go in and kind of separate things out so you can see them a little clearer, particularly when you are coming back, a week later, a month later, to your code and you're trying to figure out what's going on. So let's do demo app. Let's just demo app. Yeah, let's just keep it simple. Demo app. Okay. And now we are actually not happy with that. We are actually done. We have now created the link that is going to appear on our web page. So what I want to first do is come here, and I'm going to clear out my cache. You always want to do this, particularly when you're doing, making changes to menu items. But really, that it's something that you're just going to be using an awful lot, because your work just will not appear, and you won't know why. And it would just be simply because cache was not cleared. Okay, so what I should be seeing here now is this link. I am not seeing this link. I'm going to clear the cache one more time for good measure. Still not seeing it. What is wrong? Oh, grief. I would say always remember to do this, but you're always going to forget. So put this at the top of the list of things. You have to return items from your functions, otherwise they will not be returned, and then consequently they will not be displayed. So let's clear the cache one more time. Ah, that's better. Okay, so now let's take a look at the code here and the link here. So first of all, here's the link. Okay. Second of all, here's the URL. Look down here as I'm hovering. Demo underscore app. There's the URL. So now the next step is, you told me that I need to call this particular function and that I would find this function inside of this page. So what we need to do is create this page, which I'm going to go on and copy this now. We need to create this page and then create this function inside of that page. So the next easy step, just create another file, give it that name, and let's begin coding it. And so now you're saying, let's open this guy up. Okay, and really, I'm not putting a bunch of instructions in here, but really, I would, and actually, I'll probably show you the links for the conventions that Drupal, if you're going to be a Drupal developer, you really should use, so that particularly for those users coming after you, you have very clear documentation and everything is laid out the same way for everyone. So if someone's looking at your module, they will know exactly where to find things and what things are doing. For this short demo, I'm not going to abide by those rules, but if I'm tweaking a module that I've found or creating my own, before it can be installed, I go in and make sure my commenting is there, one, and correct, two, and then just as far as space, there's a lot as far as the instructions for setting up modules, commenting it, laying it out, spacing it, and everything. So let's move on. I'm going to call this just demo app form page. And now let's continue, and we're going to create a demo app. What did I call that? Because I'm creating the function that I told it needed to look for, and here that is. Let's put that there. Now we're good to go. And let's see, now I'm going to place in this variable for form state so that it can keep up with the activity within my form. That's set up. And now again, just as I set up the items array for my link, I'm going to set up the forms array for my form page. And what I want to do now is set this up. And what I'm setting up now are the fields, the elements that are going to appear on my page. So let's do a very simple, everybody does first name, last name. Let's stick with that convention. So I am creating a form element called first name, all right? I am applying an array to it so I can send a bunch of stuff, to it. And let's do title, and the title of this one, obviously, first name, and I want to let's do type as well. This one is just going to be a text field. And note what I'm doing. All I'm doing is just setting up the field. I'm assigning all the properties to this field. That's it. I'm going to have a default value, and I just want to make sure that it's always clear. Okay. And actually what I'm going to do is also set this field to required, and then I want to show you when we are ready to run the form what Drupal will take over and do for us. Let's do I will get it, I promise. Description. And okay, we are done there. And here. And we're good. Okay, so First name field, title type, default value, required, true. That all looks good except for that. Okay, so now we've got one field in. Let's go in and create the other one. And all I'm going to do here is make a few quick changes. Last. It's the same, and last. Okay. All right. Okay, so these are two fields on our form. Let's add another one. And I tell you what, to show you something, I want to add, let's do a select box. And let's just say I forgot how to set up a select box. Well, the nice thing about Drupal is not only is every project that you're working on an open book project, but you're also given a very detailed cheat sheet that you can use when you're setting up your applications. So what I'm going to do is first one, determine why I'm getting that little guy. Let's see. Oh, that's why. A little separate. Okay. So here we go. Let's see. First name, last name. Course. Let's do something like that. Let's do course and change it. And now all I'm doing again, this is a drop down box. Okay. So when inside of this drop down box, I'm going to call it course. It's a select field that is what we're using for type. The title of it, actually let's just change the title of it to course. Options, now what I like to do, there's one thing that I prefer doing actually here. Let me do this here. I prefer to have select as my top item, which has the value of 0. So, in my coding, I'll say 0. 0 will tell the user, that you need to fill this in if I'm coding that. But I'm also still going to show you, actually I tell you what, I'm not going to add the required feature here, but if I added the required feature, I wouldn't have to worry about coding to validate whether the user had or had not selected this. So let's go, courses, programming, web design, and what else? Java. Okay, change these values here. Options, I have my default value. Actually, what I want that default value to be is 0, so it will pick this one to display when the page is loaded. And description, let's go here. Please select course. And so we don't forget that again. Let's return the form elements. Is that it? I think. Except you're upset about that. Let's see. We can determine what you're upset about. Oh, that would probably be helpful. Return is not a variable. Okay. Now, barring any unforeseen typos, let's go back and clear the cache out. And let's see if we have our form here. And clicking on first demo app. And voila, our form is here. Now, what is a form without a button? That's not a good thing. So let's quickly go in here. And now, everyone, again, I want you to just take care to look at this. So you got a lot of syntax. I do understand that. But look at what the syntax is. It's just fields and buttons and laying them out the way you want to lay them out. Then applying your your basic PHP coding or general coding. You're just going to be using if, thens, ands, ors, validating, adding jQuery, just as you would to, your basic web pages. So let me get this in. Type of this is just submit. clear our cache. Ah, and there is our button. Great. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to create a corresponding submit function. And the way Drupal works is whatever the form name is, and in this case, our form name is this function. If you just add submit to it and also validate and end them in certain other naming conventions, Drupal will know to go in and look for that particular function as it's executing the page. So what I want to do, come here to function, submit, and what I'm going to do here is pass through here the actual form array. Let's see, and what we're going to do is pass this by reference as well. And then, and same thing, I'm going to pass the form state array as well, and again passing it by reference. Okay, and remember I had to turn on that devel module. This is where, well, it could have come in handy in a few other places, but this is one spot where it can definitely come in handy when you're wanting to see what is actually being submitted. So what I'm going to do here is just go and put in form state. I'm not going to add anything as far as code to, here we go, as far as code to this submit function just yet. I want you to see what happens once this DSM function is run. Okay, let's go back. Let's make sure everything cleared. I think the cache cleared, but let's just try this. Let's see. And send. Ah, good. Now you see this here? When I turned on that devel settings and turned on the backtrace, what this now does is once on submit, it grabs all of the information behind that submit. In this particular case, I want to see, did it grab the input that I gave it? So I will look down here in values to see that it did indeed. First name field had Latrell, last name Freeman. The course field had one selected, which I think was programming. And then the button itself states send. So this is very helpful to see what is transpiring behind the scenes of your application. And it kind of gives you, again, another little cheat sheet on how to access certain things. So for example, I am going to create, let's just do it, this is going to be a very short one because I want to show you also, again, just, syntax is different, but I don't know, the functionality is still the same. You're still coding, you're still developing. So let's go here. What I want to do, let's say I want to use, so when this form is submitted, I just want to say, I tell you what, I say if somebody has chosen Java, let's just say that class is full. So let's do this. So I want to see values here in course. Okay, what I want to do is grab that value and then use it in an if statement. And I typically, because these parameters can get long, I typically like to set them up just in one variable and so that it houses everything. So let's do this. Let's call it course selected equals. Now what I want to do is come into form state, and I'm going to grab, values and course, right? And course. Once I've gotten that set up, or actually, well, I can do that as well. Okay, so course selected. I think I'm going to do a couple of things. So let's do this. So that's done. So the course that's been selected will be placed here in the course selected variable. And I'll stop right there just so you can get a feel for what I'm going to do. So if course selected is the same as, I think it was 3. And remember 3 is the, here, 3 is the actual value that's being sent to the database, not the Java. Java is just, the description basically, or the viewable, what the end user is viewing. This is actually the value that's being sent to the database. If course selected equals 3, what do I want you to do? Let's make this simple. I'm going to use one of Drupal's functions, Drupal set message. Yeah, I can use that. And I tell you what, while I'm here, let me grab user first name. Oh, and there are a couple of ways to do this, but I just want to show you how to set this up. From in here, value, and yep, first name. Okay, first name. So that's holding that. That's holding that. So my Drupal message, what I want to say is here, first name, T, and the T just stands for it allows any other users to be able to translate any text into whatever their language is. So whenever you're just adding pretty much straight text in, you want to prefix the T to that string of text. All right, let's do this. And what am I going to say? So we're only doing one, so let's do this. The Java. What is it? How about that? That's sufficient. And then else, if they've selected anything else, of course, now this is just probably not like the best way to go about this, but it'll give you an idea of what you can do as far as programming and developing, and hopefully take out just a little air of the confusion or the 10 million other things that you can do, of course. But just, I think, getting that base foundation opens the door for you being able to do anything that you want to do. So let's see. Oh, and I need to put this in as well. It's full. And that. And it's going to be, I'm going to put it up in the warning just so you can see. Okay. Else, what? Another Drupal message saying everything's lovely. Let's go through here. Thank you. What do I call it? First name. So thank you, whoever. Let's change it up. Okay. And we may be done. Let's take a quick look here. I'll leave that on just so we can see what's happening. But the long and short of this should be, when the form is submitted, one validation is going to be run if it's empty, and I will show you that in this example. Then if we get down here to the submit function, it should take the value of the course, it should take the value of the first name, place them in these two variables. Once in these two variables, I'm going to look at the course selected and determine its value. If its value is 3, the Java course is full. If it's not, if it's any of the others, then just thank you and thank you or thank you. There and move. Okay, so let's go. Got that saved, and let's go back here and refresh. Clear everything out and refresh. And let's see what we have. that. So what we want to check first, let's see if, how about Java? No, that doesn't look good. What do we have? Actually, though, okay, so it's not capturing his name, but we're going to go in and figure out why. 947. Oh, that would be why. Typos are going to be the enemy. And let's turn this off. Yes. Yes. Did it capture? Okay. All right, so now let's go back and see. We will clear everything again. And good deal. Let's try this one more time. Okay. Picking Java again. There we go. Tom, the Java class is full. And what I also wanted to show you, just kind of the built-in validation is set up in Drupal, because I set these two fields as required. They are required. I can't go any further. All this was supplied by Drupal. I did not have to go in and make any changes, or add this code, for validation. Now, of course, you may have to add validation because you're doing some special things. But if not, if you're just creating a straight application where you just need to make sure that, the field has been filled in, it's already done for you once you set the required value here. All right, that is going to be the end of our first video. So this is a short and sweet one. What my suggestion would be to go in, replicate this application from beginning to end, then change it up. Create another application with other fields. Instead of using a drop-down field, what about a text area field? Maybe change the length of some of these fields. Submit them and then change the message, that default message, or the coded message that I had appearing here, just so you can start getting comfortable. But again, my main thrust here, what I want you to see is, in all of this code, 1, this was a link. 2, these are the field elements. Here's the button. Here is the very short amount of code that I had to have to submit the form, apply some values to another set of variables, and then run my programming code on it. And that was it. All right. Take care, and we will see you in video 2. Bye.